but you and I both know that, but it's a medical model that we're dealing with here. How does one break that model? Because, let's face it, my system 10 years ago cost the state of California $20,000. And that is way too high for an individual to even come close to purchasing that type of machinery. Why is it so cost prohibitive?
I think especially when it comes to, like you said, the medical model, anything that has to do with the medical field, they boost those prices way up to absorb the cost of medical facilities, and they're also out there to make a buck, you know. Like you can see, you know, a product that does one thing, like we were talking about environmental controls. Environmental controls cost, you know, thousands of dollars, whereas you can get a Palm Pilot that is, you know, by touch, you can turn on off your TV, things like that, you know, for $200. But because one's marketed under the medical model, the prices have been boosted sky high. What we can do about that, I think it's all on the grassroots level. I think it's the evaluators, the technology centers that are out there. I think they're going to have to start buckling down and searching for products that are out there that are not marketed for the disabled community, and like things like the Palm Pilot, and start using those and recommending those for people in the disabilities community.
But it would also be nice to see students and educators focusing on broader aspects of assistive technologies in technology arenas. The introduction of people with disabilities into technology courses. There might be a way to do things with initiatives, with grants and funding for students with disabilities to participate in technologically based education, and kind of introduce these people into the commercial sector and say, okay, now go out into the engineering workplace and make something happen. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a win-lose scenario. I think it's a win-win scenario.
It's a great idea.
Hey, market that.
I think you have to petition that. You have to go out and say, okay, this is a public interest. This is a public interest effort. We already have the educational infrastructure, and we could use that in a sense to actually bear a little on the commercial markets. It's not an adversarial position. I'm not saying let's go out and strike an adversarial position, but let's through cooperation and through education, because I think it's educating people. I think it's educating people in industry and technology about the benefits of using assistive technologies, that assistive technologies are not exclusive. They're inclusive. Once you develop an assistive technology, its application isn't captured within a small community or within the disabled community. It has broader application. I think it works both ways. I think you can get other technologies to be applied in the assistive arena once they're understood. And there just aren't those people there.
Okay. Now, I said in my opening, I have drag and dictate. One of the flaws, occasionally, or more than not, is that sometimes it just doesn't recognize what I said. Mm-hmm. How do we engineer a product like drag and dictate to make it recognize me, but also to recognize you and you?
Well, there's a lot of research in speech recognition. The tendency, though, in research is to focus on a specific group or model. What you're doing is testing outcomes. So your test samples, say you're developing a system like drag and dictate. IBM Via Voice is probably another good example. Here is a mainstream product, and because it was in a mainstream production environment, the broad testing that might have occurred, say, bringing someone like Albert in during the development process to go, oh, look at this, now we've got some different samples, we've got some different data, maybe we can now redefine or re-engineer the back end of this technology so that we can accommodate. And I think that's one of the things that's missing. I think we don't include a lot of people GM made a great effort in saying, women, people who have different statures, they make the cars kind of monolithically, one model.
Right.
One car fits all. It's pretty common across the board in commercial enterprises to have that same kind of thinking. Because you're really not you're focusing on marketing and not focusing on product. Mm-hmm. And when you start to focus on product, you can start to do some of those things. Mm-hmm. So we probably need people like you sitting inside companies like IBM, 3Com, etc., working on these products.
Okay. One question I have is, if I were to become more severely disabled, what would you do as an evaluator, and what would you do as a person with technology know-how to assist me in assess accessing the technology?
Well, as far as what would I do during my evaluation,
yeah,
things like that. If say you were, say right now you have your access with the both hands. Mm-hmm. I would start looking at, say you lost the use of both of those hands. I'm just trying to think of an example, because as a therapist, what I look at is what are your strengths. I'm not looking at what you can't do. I look at what you can do and what you want to be able to do that you're not able to access right now, because it's all about accessibility. Mm-hmm. And let's say now you don't have the use of your hands, but you do have good use of, say, your shoulders or your head. There are going to be ways that you can access a computer using those movements. Mm-hmm. Because they have computers that are able to move the cursor with the use of your head. But say that's just not accurate enough. You could get a scanning device would scan through, and you would just select, it's like maybe the twitch of your shoulder. Because, I have this theory that no matter how disabled you are, there is a way for you to access a computer. Because we've gotten guys at CASA that only have movement of their eyes left. Nothing, not able to move even, their cheeks or, anything. But with the movement of their eyes, they're still able to surf the web, access a computer, things like that. It's just the process of finding what is this person able to do, what are your strengths, in finding the piece of equipment that works on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, probably as a technology implementer, I would say that I would revisit kind of the way we view assistive technologies in research. There's a large segmentation in the research arena. We don't have large foundations or enterprises dedicated to assistive technology research. There would probably be a benefit as well borne out from the same research in not just the assistive technology arena. I would suggest an extension of the research and the way research is done. Right now what you have is a lot of disparate research centers based on some medical model. So they're out there with medical companies, basically in isolation, doing research in a piecemeal fashion or a stepwise fashion. I would suggest a more wholesale effort at research, so that there's a kind of a culmination of efforts and development that are more akin to the extension of those technologies. Because we don't really do a very good job of effectively delivering research into the disabled community. It's not. It's haphazard at best.
Mm-hmm. So what you're talking about is integrating commercial use into this.
With like a national research, just like the NSF was very instrumental in the development of the internet and the DoD. There should be or can be a body whose primary function, whether it's the National Institutes of Health, that actually provides kind of a center, a research center.
Well, there is a center right now. It's through the state of California, California Assistive Technology System, mm-hmm. that is supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. In fact, I am planning on joining that system in the next couple of weeks to share the knowledge that I have with it.